I'm Abby King-Kaiser. I'm the director of the Center for Faith and Justice. I think I've worked at Xavier for about 8.5 years, and when I first started, I was a young mom. I had one kid. She was just turning 2 my first semester while I worked here, and my second child was born my second year at Xavier. Both of my kids went to the Xavier Montessori Lab School, and when we came back to Cincinnati, I was moving from across the country, and so I had grown up in Cincinnati but had never parented here. And so I remember one of the biggest sources of anxiety was both, what will I do with my kids while I'm at work? And I knew that this role would require lots of weird hours. But also then, when it became time for it to feel like formal education, not just daycare, like how will I do that, and how will I choose, and how can I find something that makes sense in my life? It wasn't going to make sense in my life to drive away from my workplace and then have to come to work or things like that. So how could I find a place that could make it so that my life, my child's life, my work life were good and easy and quality and they felt loved. I loved the lab school as a parent, and my children loved it as kids, and I think it's a really excellent foundation for kids to start with, and it was really expensive. There was no advantage for anybody affiliated with the university for getting in. I felt like I got lucky the first time my kids got in because my daughter was the right age when they were doubling the preschool size. And so it's not an asset for our students nor for our faculty and staff the way it could be, because for many people it's just not within reach. It is too expensive or they don't get in. I have loved that Xavier is a place where I can be my whole self. I have loved that Xavier is a place where my children are welcome, where they think they go to college. And I hope that any students who have kids who feel the same way. And I know it's really hard as a parent to try to focus on what you need to do when you're dragging your kids with you. I have babysat for a friend of mine so that she could take an accounting exam because her kid was sick. And she was not a traditional age, and she just got lucky that I worked here and I didn't have a meeting. So she brought up her infant and dropped him at my door, and I got to carry the sick baby around so that she could finish her degree. She was lucky. She could afford childcare, and for the most part it worked for her, and she could be flexible enough to make it work. But if Xavier really wants to invest in students who don't have access to college otherwise, if Xavier really wants to invest in the women who make this university work, if Xavier really wants to invest in causes of justice that give people at our margins access to thriving communities and education, then Xavier really needs to have affordable, accessible childcare, if not literally on campus right next door.